watching the #1 podcast in the YouTube wrestling community. And I'm your host, Jean-Paul Leek, and this is Rope Break Family. Here we are, Christmas Eve. It's finally here. I hope you're all excited, for the holidays. You have time off, relaxing at home, with your family and stuff. But, so I won't want to take too much of your time, but AEW Dynamite was last night. I believe they called it the Holiday Bash or some kind of name for it. But, the show, it was pretty decent. I enjoyed it a lot more than NXT. Check out the NXT review if you haven't already, where we really, beat that show because it was not a good show at all. And this Dynamite, maybe the wrestling isn't as good, maybe some of the match quality is not as good as NXT, but AEW is just so much more of an enjoyable, easier show to watch lately than NXT. And I can't believe I'm saying it, but it's the truth, and we always give you the truth here on Rope Break. So let's begin. The first match was the Inner Circle, Chris Jericho and MJF, going against Top Flight, Darius and Dante Martin. Top Flight's a team I really like. These guys are 21, 19 years old, so super young, but they have the right mindset. They learned from the Rock and Roll Express, or at least Ricky Morton. Like, they talked to him, and he really helped these guys, probably in the indie scene and stuff. So, they at least they have a good head on their shoulders. They're a team I think in the future definitely going to be tag champs here. They're featured a lot better than some of the teams that debuted with the company, Lucha Bros. So, no, all kidding aside, Lucha Bros, I just wish they were tag champs, but, they're in a pretty good spot right now, I think. So, but back to this match, really good. Obviously, the right winners here. You're not going to have the Inner Circle lose. The only really complaints is some spots that you clearly see cooperation working together, look more like the dance routine, than a actual wrestling match. But like I said, the winners here, Inner Circle, the right winners, because Darius hits a double DDT. They were going to do a double back body drop. He hits a DDT instead on the Inner Circle. Hager then gets involved and trips up Darius on the apron, which allows MJF to hit the Heat Seeker, kind of like a draping pile driver he does. Really cool move. I like it. He hits that for the 1, 2, 3. So good match. Afterwards, Hager, he complains about Wardlow's absence these past 2 weeks. Hager says that he spoke to Tony Khan and, that they will be wrestling in next week. So he's pissed. He's like, where is this guy? I don't care. He calls him out. He says that you're with your family. Well, the Inner Circle's your family. You're supposed to be here with us. So this should be a really good match between these two. I'm excited for it. Then we see a rap video from the Acclaim. They're mocking the Young Bucks for their big tag team championship match tonight. So pretty good. I like the Acclaim. I'm a fan of rap. So, this wasn't too bad. And they put any time somebody wants to poke fun at the Young Bucks, I'm all for it. So then we get Tony Schiavone. He's in the ring to interview Sting. Sting says that he has all come full circle, being back on TNT, same shit we've already heard. And he talks about his time as a young wrestler watching Dusty Rhodes because of Dusty, Sting donned the face paint for the first time. And when he saw Cody in AEW, he's like, I knew I had to be a part of it, had to be a part of this jungle. So, the crowd starts chanting, welcome home. Team Taz interrupts, and they accuse Sting of being completely selfish. Team Taz starts walking to the ring because they're like, you want to talk about jungle? We got 3 lions right here who are hungry. So they start coming to the ring, but then the lights go off. Darby Allin appears. He has the skateboard. Sting has the baseball bat. So Taz is like, you know what? We're just going to back off. We don't want none of this. And I'm like, okay, there's 5, 6 of you, and you can't beat up these 2 guys in the ring. Yeah, they have weapons, but it's only 2 guys. So, that kind of kills it for me. Team Taz is they're like macho, but then when push comes to shove, they're like, no, I'm good. So that to me is a little weak. And then we see a video of MJF. He's visiting Santana and Ortiz backstage. MJF says to Santana that, he recently, lost someone in his family, so he knows what he's going through. They kind of have that moment, which was weird for MJF. Normally, he doesn't let people in. You don't see that personal side. And I thought maybe this was going to be Ultimate Heel, that he was just going to, as soon as him and Santana kind of hugged and embraced, I thought he was going to have that Grinch smile to be like, haha, I'm just screwing with you, I'm tricking you. But it was a real, babyface human MJF moment. So that was cool. But with him being a heel and the Inner Circle being a heel group, I don't understand that. I know AEW said we don't care about baby faces and heels, but, try to keep some kind of consistency here, please. Then moving on, we see the Dark Order, Colt Cabana 5 and 10 versus the Jurassic Express, Jungle Boy, Luchasaurus, and Marco Stunt. So, this was okay. The main thing here, Colt Cabana was acting really cocky. Obviously Marco Stunt, Jungle Boy did a lot of the selling. when Luchasaurus came in, he made the hot tag, took everybody out. Jungle Boy looks good. Marco Stunt, they got to do the things with him where Luchasaurus throws him into everybody, or, he hits his usual moves. Like Juan has made the comparison Spike Dudley, but, Spike Dudley looks like, I can't even, like a Terry Funk or somebody next to this guy. So I don't know about that comparison, but, this thing at the end of it, Jungle Boy hits super kicks onto 5, and the Luchasaurus military press slams. Our military press is stunt onto the floor onto 10 and Cabana. Like I'd mentioned, he throws that, the usual spots, and then Jungle Boy hits a power bomb onto 5 for the victory. It's like an assisted power bomb they do. So Jurassic Express wins here. That was, the right move for them. Obviously, they're a team who, like I had mentioned earlier about Top Flight being, really pushed a lot better than some teams that are debuting. The Jurassic Express is one of them, but they're in a good feud right now with FTR, which is what we see next when Tony Schiavone interviews the Jurassic Express. FTR, Tully Blanchard, they interrupt. He calls him Jurassic Park. He's like, listen, we were professional, we were legit, but now things are personal, and we're not going to let a bunch of dinosaurs get in our way. Good promo by Tully Blanchard, and he's like, when we go against each other in 2 weeks, if that little Marco Stunts out there, I might have a flashback to the 80s. So that was really cool. I popped for that. If I didn't like Tully enough already, I like him even more now. So this was really cool. And I'm excited for this match because FTR is legit. I like Jungle Boy. Luchasaurus is he's one of those things where every time you see him, he does the same moves, the same shit, and it's less impressive each time, so you don't really care. He doesn't mix it up because I don't know if he knows how to, but Jungle Boy is at least really good, and, I enjoy seeing him every time, so. And then we get Alex Marvez. He's with Kenny Omega and Don Callis at their hotel. He tracks him down in the lobby. Callis complains about wrestlers running the show in AEW, how they complain, and, you don't hear anything from Tony Khan. It's just all the wrestlers who are like the inmates running the asylum, essentially. And then Omega points out that all the times that Rey Fenix has fell short in the past, he's like, you couldn't beat me in AAA. You couldn't beat, your brother in the tournament, even though he did. But then he, got injured, so he couldn't, So he just keeps bringing up all this stuff about Rey Fenix. And they're like, oh, maybe when I kick your ass here and beat you so bad you don't want to wrestle here, maybe you'll go to Impact. And Don Callis is like, no, we don't want him in Impact. He's too injury prone. He's too bullshit. Let's send him to AAA. And they're like, yeah. So this was really good. And, they're going to have that title match. I believe it's next week. We're going to see Rey Fenix, Kenny Omega. So that will be really good. Obviously, Omega's not going to lose, but I think it'll be really good. Hopefully they set something up that we can see Penta then going against Kenny Omega as well, because that'll be a really good matchup. They've had one before. Let's see another rematch. And then up next, we see the Butcher, and he's going against Pac. And, of course, the Blade, the Bunny, Eddie Kingston was on commentary. So this was pretty good. I like the Butcher a lot. Kingston on commentary was pretty good. It was funny. He was ignoring, the babyface commentators when they were like, oh, well, why are you bullshit? How do you feel about Pac? He's going to kick your ass. Lance Archer, he's now going to kick your ass. He was just ignoring all that. He's like, yeah, JR, we're legit and all this stuff. But this match was really good. I like the Butcher a lot. I'm a really big fan of Pac, Neville, whatever you want to call him. I'm a big fan of his. So I'm glad to see him, come back here, get a good, strong win. And he's another one, too, go after Omega. I think will be legit. But the problem is with feeding all these guys to Omega is they're going to lose to him because no one's going to beat him. He's, you got to build him up for somebody like Hangman Page if you really want to do that story. But I feel like that's a long ways down the road. They're not going to, the main championship, they don't hot potato. These guys have had long title reigns. Omega's just started. So, maybe let's not think too far ahead. But Pac would be a guy who I would definitely like to see go against Omega at some point after he's done with his feud here. But this match ends. Lance Archer, he appears at ringside and, to prevent Eddie Kingston from coming down, interfering in this match. And then Pac catches the Butcher with a kick, and then he lands the Black Arrow for the win. So really good match. Like I said, Pac, right winner. I really didn't have no problem with this, except for the fact that, of course, we had to see interference. We had to see all these guys. It couldn't just be Pac beats the Butcher, and then maybe we see Kingston come down because he is on commentary. But I didn't need to see Lance Archer in this. After the match, Pac and Archer, they stare at each other. They're kind of jaw-jacking from the stuff that happened last week. So then we see Jade Cargill. She cuts a promo. She Brandy on her pregnancy, but she says, the timing's awful because I was just going to kick your ass. Shaq called out Cody, even though Shaq said he didn't. He was just kidding. So then, maybe somebody should get these two on the same page for their story. So she said she wants a worthy opponent in AEW. We'll see who they feed her. It'll probably be somebody on AEW Dark, which I won't watch. So then we see Tony Schiavone. He's with Kip Sabian, Penelope Ford, and Miro. And Sabian discusses how important the upcoming wedding is for AEW. Sabian then tries to announce the wedding date, but the Best Friends music plays, and they reveal that it was a huge ruse. They all start laughing. They're like, Adaaaaa, in your face. And the Trent, he's being loaded into an ambulance, and they reveal the wedding date as February 9th on an episode of Dynamite called Beach Break. And for the wedding, I mean, it's going to be what it is. We're going to see Miro, and sometimes he looks legit. Other times, then he looks like a loser, as in just coming out in Gucci clothing, all this stuff. He's like, oh, hi. I just want to see the monster. I don't really care about Kip Sabian, Penelope Ford. At the wedding, the Best Friends are just going to crash it. You're probably seeing Orange Cassidy pop out of a cake or some kind of bullshit. And, that's it. I mean, I don't like the comedy thing. Orange Cassidy, to me, he's not over with me personally. So I'm not into this. I just want to see Miro in a singles run, make him the TNT champ, do something legit with him like he deserves. So then we see Evil Uno versus Dustin Rhodes. Main story of this thing, they're bringing up Seven from TNA. Obviously, they're working with Impact now, TNA, so they're able to, reference their characters and everything. So not that they weren't able to before, but now it's like, you have like the blessing, so to speak. So they're bringing up that, and they're breaking the wall of kayfabe. They're like, oh, it was a bullshit gimmick. He was drunk. He was on drugs. He's clean now. He's good, all this stuff. So just really kind of saying it's a dark past of Dustin's that Evil Uno and the Dark Order are trying to tap into. But at the end of this thing, Dustin, he hit the code red, all this stuff. Uno kicked out. But Uno hits a pile driver for a close two count. And then they exchange some punches and kicks to the face. Dustin hits a running bulldog for the victory. So I guess that's kind of his finisher now, that bulldog. Which, I mean, okay, that or the code red. I like the code red a little better for his finisher, but, pretty good match. Dustin looks good. I mean, Evil Uno, Dark Order, they're just done. They're a joke. I don't really know. I propose something with maybe him and Hangman, take out the Dark Order, do something like that, but it seems Hangman's kind of working with them. I don't really know. This is all too, to try to figure out the way Tony Khan books is like, trying to find, be like a rocket scientist, just, sitting in your room and not taking any classes. It's impossible. So then we see after the match, Uno offers a handshake, but Dustin kicks it away. Stu Grayson then attacks Uno. Lee Johnson tries to make the save, but to no avail. QT Marshall also fails in his attempt. Lee Johnson fights off the Dark Order with a double springboard dropkick as the Nightmare family stands tall. So, like I always say, the heels can never win. Heels can never look good. And then we see Tony Schiavone. He's with Shawn Spears. And despite his down year, his confidence is still high. And then Schiavone tries to offer constructive advice, but it doesn't go well. Spears says that he's leaving AEW and will come back when he feels like it. So we've seen this gimmick a lot, Austin Theory, he left. We see Trent Seven, he left. Shawn Spears left. So, okay. I mean, hey, sorry to say, but we're really not going to miss you too much. And then we see Dasha Gonzalez. She's backstage with Sheeda. Abaddon tries to attack her, but staff members separate them. So then we see Hikaru Shida versus Alex Garcia. This was a pretty good match. It's good to see Alex Garcia. I guess she won on AEW Dark on Tuesday, so then that's why she was able to have this match with Hikaru Shida. Not championship match or anything, just showcase, her versus the champ non-title. But obviously Hikaru Shida wasn't going to lose this thing unless they were going to cause some kind of distraction from Abaddon. They didn't do that. So she wins with the Falcon Arrow. She blocks the head scissors, hits that Falcon Arrow, 1, 2, 3. After the match, Abaddon and Sheeda, they brawl ringside. She violently bites Sheeda on the neck, and then Sheeda is bleeding, and Abaddon stands tall. So, they're supposed to have this match. And, that she does this. Usually AEW's, that's the one thing they're good with. And whenever somebody attacks, does something violent, there's usually like a fine or some kind of repercussions. Not like on NXT where people can get kidnapped and, tortured. And they're like, oh, whatever, it's fine. No big deal. So I want to see what they're going to do with Abaddon. Maybe they suspend her, propose the match, or maybe they do something. And then Sheeda says, no, I want the match. I'm interested to see if they do some kind of, consistency with her violent attack. So. Or maybe they'll just blow it off. But next week, we get Kenny Omega versus Rey Fenix for the AEW World title. Jon Moxley will return, and then Hikaru Shida versus Abaddon. So We'll see. Maybe they'll announce something on social media, or maybe the match will just happen. Like I said, no repercussion for almost, biting out her jugular. But here we are with the main event, for the tag titles, the Young Bucks versus the Acclaimed. And this was all right. The Acclaim, like I said earlier, I like them. I like the gimmick. I think they're pretty good wrestlers, trained by Brian Myers, so of course they're legit. But the Young Bucks, typical Young Bucks stuff, no selling, and like they had the one member in the sharpshooter, and then the other one comes in, kicks him, and he's like, "Oh," or punches him. He's like, "Is that all you got?" Like, really? You can't sell anything. So, but I mean, these guys, I feel like they probably wrestled before because they had a lot of chemistry. The matches look good. Sometimes people try to do the Young Bucks style, like an FTR, and that match doesn't translate well. It doesn't look well. This match at least was, looked very well, flowed good, and they gave these guys a lot of time. 20-plus minute match. Really good. At the end of this thing, everybody's trading strikes. Nick accidentally super kicks the referee, Rich Knox. Caster then low blows Nick, and Bowens hits him with a boombox for a near fall. Matt power bombs Bowens through the ringside table. The Bucks hit the BTE trigger and retain their titles. So like I said, the winner, the Young Bucks. I lied. The match wasn't that long. It was that long with entrances. About 15-minute match here is the time. So, that was the main event. Pretty much when this thing ended, the main event, they're like, "Oh, thank you for watching, blah, 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 whatever movie's on, Adaaaaa," and they kicked you out. So they were going right near the cutoff time. But like I said, good episode of Dynamite. I think next week will be just as good. The world title match should be exciting. The women's title match should be exciting or interesting as well. So I'm looking forward to it. And for me personally, AEW is now winning the war there. That's the side I'm on, or at least the show that I enjoy watching more. Still pulling for NXT, but AEW is a more enjoyable show. So, guys, thank you so much for watching. And, we'll see you later today with the best show, NXT UK. But make sure you follow us on Facebook, on our Rope Break on Facebook, the OG Rope Break on Twitter, the original Rope Break on Instagram, and, of course, right here, the home of the #1 podcast in the YouTube wrestling community, the original Rope Break. Guys, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.